Hey everyone. So if you're doing outbound in 2026, then you must be thinking how an agency should be operating, especially if you're doing lead gen or any sort of marketing. So today we have with us Aaman Ahmed. He grew his agency from zero to $70,000 a month in a couple of years now. Their agency, Scaletopia, has worked with over 85 plus marketing agencies, and they work with some of the biggest agencies in the world. So today we're going to talk to him to basically learn how to go from zero to 70K a month in a couple of years and how to work with the biggest agencies out there, how to build a team, how to provide good results, and how to basically grow in 2026 with all the AI and fancy tools out there. Aman, man, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Amir, for the wonderful intro. I'm excited to get into it.
So just to get started, I know we've been chatting for like 4 years now. We've started chatting in 2022 when we were in a coaching group together. So tell me, like, you were working at Mercedes, right? If I remember correctly. And then you started your own agency. Tell me, how was that transition? Like, why did you even start your own agency in the first place?
So yeah, it started in 2022. And as I started my agency, I was working at Mercedes as a lead generation specialist. And honestly, as I had no corporate background or experience before starting this agency. So for me, I was very open and fresh to new ideas. One of them, as I was doing this regularly, I just thought, why don't I actually try doing lead generation outbound for myself? And from there, just kind of saw it online and then just picked it up from there. And since then, like, the only thing that I've been trying to do is the cool thing. The reason why I even work with marketing agency, I know it's not part of the question, is since I can do it for myself now and acquire clients from nothing with no corporate experience, no connections or anything, it just makes me super confident for any marketing agency that I can run outbound for them. I don't have like a magical story per se, but I did start when I was around, I think 17 or 18, and with no experience, and then took it to where it is today.
Is it a little bit like how Alex Ramosi says it? First, you learn something, you do it for yourself. And then basically, when you get so successful, other people come asking, hey, can you also do it for us? Because you become so successful in that and you get so good at it. So is it more like that where you got results for yourself and you started doing it for others?
Yeah. I wouldn't want to put myself in that category per se, but quite honestly, I think that's pretty much what it is. Where since I'm running outbound and getting clients for myself, the cool thing about an outbound agency, the same delivery method you're doing for yourself is what you're doing for clients anyways. So my thing had to work. Otherwise, I couldn't prove it. But to answer your question, yes, because as you progress, not only we're getting more referrals, but the agency we used to work with a few years ago were companies sub $1 million a year or even around the $1 million year mark and, few employees. Whereas today, like, we're working with companies above 500 employees. As I said, one of the biggest marketing agencies in the world, like 20, 30, 40 million a year. And I think that only comes from staying in the game long enough and just compounding those wins and compounding case studies.
Yeah, man. Definitely. Completely agree. And I've been seeing like a lot of your screenshots on LinkedIn. And I think, you put posts out on LinkedIn and you've booked calls with Mr. Beast, right? And you've booked calls with like one of the biggest brands out there. So is there a secret sauce that other people are missing, or are you just doing the same things? Like what is different from how you are doing outbound and how other people are doing outbound?
Right. We booked the calls with like Mr. Beast Festivals, AG1, Vulcan, all with the C-suites, VP of marketing. And I think I can't speak for others, but I've heard of how people do delivery models. But I do genuinely think that it's just doing the fundamentals amplified. Whereas, for example, I think some people like to take the automated approach and then just send an offer with guarantees. The way we really like to approach it is looking at clients 12 months, reverse engineering lookalike lists, and then writing offers that will actually solve a pain point to these job titles. For example, with Mr. V's Feastables, we did it for an Amazon agency and we booked a call with a director of retail sales. Of course, that has a link between each other. And the way we positioned it is just adding retail channel as much more of a bigger sale than D2C. So I think just by engineering to specific job titles is going to get you those responses. But transparently enough, with those calls, it's not like we're regularly getting them week in, win out. But I would say that as long as you're applying the fundamentals, you're consistently going to get those sort of meetings.
Yeah. And it's a good lesson to a lot of people who are in the outbound space, because we kind of go after the fanciest of things out there. If there's a fancy new creative signal-led approach and like Claude Code and all the fancy go-to-market engineering plays out there. But what I've seen people missing is the fundamentals, as you're talking about, like looking at the persona, what pain points do they have? What pain points does the company have? How can my client solve it? And just applying that in a repeatable way.
Right, exactly.
I remember when we started chatting in like 2022, you were kind of like grinding retainers. You were trying to basically get clients and trying to grow. And now you work with almost like 85 plus agencies. So like take me to the moment, or like, was there a specific thing that happened that made it flip or that switched it for you? Or how did you go from like almost nothing to 70K a month now and 85 plus marketing agencies?
So, for context as well for the viewers, actively we're working with around 26. Over the last 3-4 years, we're working with the 85 agencies, but with the 26, we're working super massive sort agency. To answer your question, Amir, quite frankly, first 2 years, I think I heard it from whether it was a Nick Abraham or your Daniel Fazios, where the first 2 years is a eat shit face, where you're just not going to get any, like, no matter, even if, like, I hit my first 10K a month in my first year. I still got pulled away from bad hires, investing in skills. I would just recommend, or what I would say from my experience, the first 2 years is definitely your eating shit phase, where you're just trying to grab the ropes. So that is where the grind really happened. And you're still at a loss by year 2 if you're thinking it's going to work or not. And I think I just want to say that it's completely natural and normal, especially when you're learning your skills. So that's in that regards. But for me, the flip was, I think one thing I did right that will never change is the moment I signed my first 2 clients in the 3rd month of the business, I stopped all outreach and I focused on those 2 clients until I got case studies with, like, I got results for them where they've signed clients from our leads and they were willing to jump on a client interview with us. That was the biggest shift. The moment I got case studies, that allowed me to give a flywheel effect where I could use those case studies to leverage an outbound, get more clients to the point where I am now with bigger and bigger agencies. So the biggest unlock, I would say, is that social proof. Because when it comes to outbound, when someone you do not know, especially when we're talking about companies in the States, and I'm talking about everyone outside of overseas here, is they already have a trust factor. They don't trust you. So the only way you're going to get in the door is either if you know someone, which is unlikely, or the other way is trust. Irrefusable truth that you know what you're doing. And the only way that works is case studies from what I've seen. So the moment we got case studies, the moment I started outreach again and it had that flywheel effect, that was the first thing. The second unlock was 2 hires. One was my operations manager, which you know quite well, Klein. He kind of my right hand now, doing everything from the engineering, the data, the operations, the finance. That allows me to be creative and, sign more clients and do bigger things. And then the other thing was my first outbound manager. I think maybe this might be another question, but since we only work with marketing agencies, I've engineered it in a way where if you only work with one niche or industry, chances is the system's going to be quite similar, right? If you're making the same coffee every single day, you're not going to require a barista that, can make 10 different coffees. So for me, we only needed an outbound manager and I could just train him specifically on one offer. And that outbound manager did super well, which allowed me to sign more clients. And that brings that flywheel effect again. But that's pretty much what I did, which allowed me to get to where I am now.
That's a very good answer. So basically, just to summarize, what got you these results is you got a couple of clients, you got amazing results from them, and then you use those case studies to get more clients. And you focus mostly on client results rather than just like going after new clients until you had that initial success.
Yeah, pretty much spot on. 80% of our clients have came from outbound. Like, we don't do anything else outbound, and we obviously have referral channels. But the only way we do that, as I said, it is literally from case studies. The more social proof you build up, the more easier, the more less friction people are going to be to jump on a call with you. It's not about your crazy guarantees and your offers. It really is about if they trust you.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And since you already mentioned guarantees, I'm just curious, how much does the Alex Samosi $100 million guarantee kind of apply in the outbound world these days? And like, maybe what I want to hear from you is like, how would you look at your guarantee that you have for marketing agencies who want to work with you? And how do you also apply those guarantees when you sign a client to basically get them more leads? So I just want to talk more about like, what's your take on applying guarantees? Because sometimes you don't know what's going to happen, right? But still you have to guarantee like, we'll get you X number of leads or X number of commercials. So how do you make sure you are able to deliver on those guarantees?
Great question. So I'd like to first tackle your first point about the space of guarantees. So I think we should talk about why guarantees even came in the first place.
Yeah.
The reason why the Hormozis, Daniel Fazios, the reason why they add any level of guarantee or marketers in general is what we talked about. to bring in that trust in the first place, that trust element. So the moment you add a guarantee, it's like they're going to be receptive to the offer because there's no risk to them. So that's pretty much the reason why people offer guarantees, right? But I think what Hormozy has done to the market is he's brought in a way where guarantees are just a complete norm. And now everyone's offering guarantees left, right, and center. And we're in a sophistication model where people are offering guarantees with clients. They sign up and they've been burned. So now guarantees hold less gravitas than it used to do. So to be honest, I think this day and age, it means a way less than it used to be, right? So that's the first thing that I want to address. And to the point of why we're even offering a guarantee, the 5 qualified shows in 30 days, is because I think that is probably the new model that you want to take down, that 30-day pilot or something to like just get in the door and do like a land and expand model, whether it's just a 30-day pilot or whether it's, even a free trial. I think that is where the market is heading with this like low trust recession that we're in. So the reason why we're doing that, and to answer that point of how do you even offer guarantees, is quite frankly, I wouldn't even call what we're doing a guarantee. The reason why is because after I think it's been 4 years, right? 80 agencies. I've at least had like 5 disputes, refunded clients, and it's been such a massive headache, as all agency owners are. But we've figured out the ones who've stayed for a few months, and the ones that have been with us since like the last 2-3 years. So we've reverse engineered those, and we just want more of those. So we're only stipulating and offering guarantees to those companies and who have those prerequisites. And just a quick info of what they are like irrefutable social proof. Again, what we talked about. If you don't have it, you're not going to get results. And even nuanced social proof, revenue, client logos, specific sort of results you've got for them. Then there is also a good offer. We like to go for more demand generation, making money offers, as opposed to companies that save money or companies that save time. We just found on Outbound in general, making money offers print, and the data shows it. And the last thing is from a collaboration perspective. Are they giving us sales recordings? Are they giving us marketing material so we can identify their unique IP? And can we even get the pain points so we can cut market research in time? All these things, we require them to offer a guarantee, because at that point, if you've given us the prerequisite conditions for us to succeed and we don't, then it's completely on us, and I'm more than happy to refund. But I think adding a guarantee with insured stipulations where just write down all the things that you need to make an outbound campaign successful, then put that in your contract. They sign it, they agree to it. And then if you don't get the results, you can obviously refund them. Even if they don't give you the prerequisites and you fail, like there's no need. You've already discussed these are the things we need, but you haven't given it to us. So yeah, it's really important that I really wanted to mention that, because it's like guarantees with prerequisites, like for us to even feel like a guarantee at that point.
Yep, makes total sense. So what I'm hearing is you found out not just an ideal client profile for you, but exactly what agencies you can get the best results for based on their case studies, their revenue, what service are they offering. And now you're trying to work with only more of those type of agencies. And you have some sort of like different variables which you've identified that can get the best results. And basically you put them in the contract to make sure like, okay, if these things check, then we'll be able to get you the promised results. And if we are not able to do that, you will simply give them a refund.
Right. The moment you take on clients outside your variable, you're opening the door to unpredictability. So the way we get predictable results is by signing the clients. We just know that data has shown time and time again that we get results for them. So why not sign more of those? So I think, as I said, those 2 years that you're eating shit, right? You need to realize that those are the learning phases of figuring out which clients work for you the best, which ones don't. So you can really figure out who your perfect ICP is, which will allow you to sign more of them in the first place.
Perfect, man. Next thing I want to talk a little bit, I want to touch on AI, like how AI is changing outbound. And I was reading a study, funny enough, and I was looking at these latest companies out there, including Clay, Junify. They're like AI SDRs out there, like Artisan, 11x. There's almost like $1 billion that is spent on funding these companies. So I'm just thinking like AI is automating everything, as we know, like people are buying AI SDRs. I don't know. I don't want to talk about the results they're getting. It's not that good. Like, but what's the edge in 2026 for agency like ours? Because anyone can copy a campaign put it in a sequence and launch. So with AI and now with Cloud Code, you can actually do that inside the terminal. So I'm just trying to understand, like, with when AI is making everything so easy to produce, what's the edge for agencies in 2026?
You remember that time, I think it's maybe a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, where Clay just started to get, get that traction. There was a lot of Clay agencies popping around. Then you started to see the likes of Eric Nowakowski starting to pop up. These Clay agencies just popping out of nowhere, including yourself when you transitioned as well, right? I think that was an all-time peak when AI was being introduced and everyone wanted to jump on the bandwagon, right? You had Clay agencies, Clay agencies, like lead generation agencies go and turn into a Clay agency where they do RevOps or where they do like Clay stuff for companies, and people were paying crap ton of money for it, right? Retainers without any outcome. But now AI started to kind of slowly creep in. I've started to see a trend where people are actually going back to the model of a results focused agency. You see our competitors, C17, offering a 30-day pilot, paper qualified shows. Eric Nowakowski, free 30-day pilot. Why are they doing this? Because you're starting to realize there's a shift in the market where AI can do a lot of these things. They can clean your CRM. They can personalize things for you. Anything that you're doing that just requires a few clicks. Don't get me wrong, just by no means am I shitting on CRM or RevOps agencies. They're super important. But what I am saying is where AI is heading to is, or at least for agencies, we're going back to the times where, companies are looking at their budget and their advertising dollars and looking at you as, are we getting actual ROI from this compared to other channels? And like for us anyways, the way we look at it or the way clients view us is that now I'm starting to work with like much bigger agencies, right? They spend 50, 100 grand a month on Facebook ads. And then one of them is spending 20 grand a month with us. They're looking at it from an SQL perspective. How much am I paying for SQL? What is my cost per acquisition? I.e., when I put $1, how much do I get out of this, right? And they're comparing different channels. So to answer your question, services always have their features. Like with Outbound, you get predictability, diversity in pipeline, and all these things. However, AI will definitely come there. But at the end of the day, there will always be a place where, in terms of results, they'll be looking at you and going like, okay, are we getting ROI? Is the cost per acquisition within our means? So we can really scale this. To summarize, its results. The more close you are to the end goal of their results, the more it doesn't matter what you do, as long as you get to what they want and the company's goals, they're going to hire you, and it doesn't matter what AI does. If anything, AI is obviously going to assist you. So that's pretty much my take on what I'm seeing with the AI shift.
Yeah, 100% agreed. And I agree on all the points you mentioned, like Clay agencies were popping up. And now I'm also noticing a lot of people are giving guarantees like 30-day pilot. And the way they're positioning it is more like pilot, I think the same way you are doing it, which kind of also makes it easy for you to get in the door, produce some results so they can see, okay, now you can do the job. And then basically you can sign them on a longer retainer. I want to talk about like more when most of the people now know that most of my clients, most of your clients, most of all lead gen agency clients that we have, they now know what Cloud Code can do, what AI can do, what, like all these fancy AI SDRs can do. What are clients actually paying you for? The part of that question is like, do you get difficulty while having sales calls with these clients? Like, are you having difficulty to justify what they need to pay you for as compared to like 2 years ago? I want to talk about how do you position yourself in the client's mind? Like, this is what you're paying me for. You're not paying me for like X, but you're paying me for Y. I want to talk more about that.
Right. So with us, I think with any agencies, as I talked about, where we are shifting to a results performance model, or that's the space we're heading to, as AI can do a lot of services that we're doing. At least in our case, I've always set up and positioned my agency to always be focused on results. And what I mean by that is, okay, I'll be feeding you enough SQLs, i.e., enough calls, demos to get you like the pipeline that you need. But the number one result that we always look for is, as I said before, the cost per acquisition. So for example, like a client's paying us $700 per qualified show. Can we keep their cost per acquisition below 3.5 to 5K? Most agencies, they're pretty happy with 3 to 5K cost per acquisition. The moment they figure out, hey, this is an engine that gets me there, they just want to scale this, which is why we have so many like 20K a month clients. They have an 8K a month client, because they just want to scale the economics of this, or how can we kind of just get more of what we're doing? So for us, that's the one element. The second element, and it's probably what I'm really focusing on today, is probably what our actual moat is, which is like, since we work with 80 agencies, we have access to all their data in terms of their case studies, the offerings, their USP, their sales recordings, how they sell. So we have all these insights that we can give to another agency that comes in. So they don't have the intelligence or data across 80 plus marketing agencies, right? So for us, so not even us in general, whatever unique experience, whether that's through the data, whether that's through your own corporate experience, that is what they're also paying you for. So more of the strategic initiative, because AI can't really replace us humans when it comes to strategy and things like that. So I would say the results part, obviously, but also the strategic element as well.
100%, man. So the next question I want to touch a little bit on, like a little bit about more internally your agency. What are you taking like seriously at this point in time in your agency?
So you've been talking a lot about AI. I'm sure you're already aware that where we're shifting right now, services can be, there's actually quite a lot of these AI SDRs where they're automating email flows and all these things. So literally, we are becoming a commoditized service. So the only thing that's going to help us stand out are the results. So whatever I'm doing a lot of R&D work to ensure that we are still getting the results for our clients. That's the most important thing. But in terms of the one thing I would say is probably thinking and building upon our 6 to 12 month moat in terms of what actually makes us different. And typically what's that looking like right now, at least for us, is, as I said, about our agency intelligence layer. So the fact that all our data points and all of our, so let's just say that a marketing agency comes on, what we can do is essentially figure out within a few click of buttons, already see which niche has worked for them, which offers have already worked, whether it's the geo campaign, what copy specifically worked, did morning or evening work for, let's just say, lawyers. We already know lawyers, they work from 12 to 3. So we've actually optimized all of our, any marketing agency and law firms, we only send between 12 and 3 p.m. EST or PST-ish so that we maximize that window. So can we continue to build that? Something AI cannot reproduce because it only comes from our own unique data points. So that's probably the one thing I'm doing that I don't see too many people around us are doing. Or if they are, they're not really saying anything.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And that's probably one of the really important parts of this conversation is when we already know we're becoming commoditized, what can be our edge? And this could be one of yours. You can take all your experience, put it in some sort of an AI model or something, and then it can kind of produce repeatable results for the next client. So how can you separate yourself from the pack of other agencies? So that's really, really, really good. I'd love to talk about your client acquisition method, because a lot of agencies, as we know, struggle to get clients. And there are two parts to this. One is we know we can produce, let's say if I work with, I don't know, fintech companies or I work with HR tech companies, I know they are at a point, they are at certain revenue size where if I email a prospect, they would automatically know what this company. So if you work with the Fortune 500, automatically the prospect will know what this company does. So there's already a little bit of social proof there. But when we talk about how agencies should do client acquisition, I want to talk about how Scaletopia is doing client acquisition. And is there anything that you've noticed over the last couple of years that has changed in how you're acquiring clients for yourself now?
So at least in our scenario, marketing agencies, historically, obviously, there's so many of them. So our TAM is quite big. So we are naturally inclined to do outbound. So the way we do for our clients, we literally do the same. Email, LinkedIn, SMS, we're running all three simultaneously. And yeah, we're running, we have a dedicated GTM engineer just for us, and I'm coming up with the copies only because I feel like I know most of our kind of unique USPs. And the way we're probably doing it, just for some angles, is we need to understand they get pitched a lot. So the way we're trying to approach it is AI generate ideas. For example, we're saying, hey, we helped case study. The way we would do it for you is, and then we would say a signal. For example, we would help you get more e-com brands spending 50K a month on Meta, but they don't have an affiliate program. So that's where we could come in and reach out for you. Then we send that to the whole affiliate agencies. So we actually we niche the verticals, and in terms of each service line, we have a copy for all of them, and we're running simultaneous sort of copies around that. However, what I will say, what we're transitioning to, as I told you about the ICP that we have, demand generation, good case studies, at least one or two salesperson. We've actually narrowed our TAM to less than 10,000 accounts. So it's been a bit of a challenge to strictly do outbound or in terms of scaled outbound. So we've actually started to lean more of the ABM approach, whether it's using our B2B. We have a setup that directly DMs people, whether it's we have if they're running any level of ads, we reach out to them. All these signals, we're starting to do a bit more and capture and use our TAM more effectively. That's on the outbound piece. Then I've just started LinkedIn again, and combining that with LinkedIn DMs. And then, of course, we have a referral kind of channel engine. The moment we get client results in month 2 or 3, we ask for a referral that kind of brings in 10-20% of our clients.
Awesome, man. Perfect. It's always good to kind of, especially if you're selling outbound. One really good client told me something along those lines, you should always drink your own champagne. So if I'm providing a service, I should be comfortable enough to do it for myself and get repeatable results exactly how you're doing it. Have you noticed everyone on LinkedIn, when you open up LinkedIn, people say cold email is dead, cold email is not working anymore? Because a lot of people, even if you open up your inbox right now, there might be 10 emails, unsolicited emails from different people. So I'm just trying to see, I'm just trying to understand, and for the viewers too, what has been your best channel recently? If you talk about right now, is it email, is it SMS, or would you say it's more LinkedIn? Which channel has been performing the best for you?
Obviously, it depends on each niche, but I'll give you a one fit all answer. But at least for marketing agencies, what we found works super well is SMS and LinkedIn. We're just finding those two, the personal bit approach works a lot better than emails. I think emails, they've just been inundated with pitches. So if anything, I think a lot of them have separate email accounts now just for their clients and stuff, because they're getting so many. Obviously, we speak to our clients, they're getting 20, 30 a week. So we found the SMS and LinkedIn hybrid approach is working a lot better.
Yeah, I definitely agree. One thing with LinkedIn, I've noticed, I don't know if you found a solution, could be good for the viewers too, is you're limited by the number of accounts you're using. So what people have started doing is they buy these fake AI avatars or they create themselves. But we've been seeing good results with this. We just use our client account, whether that's 3 or 4 accounts. We put them in a campaign and we try and come up with new messaging. What has your approach been with LinkedIn? Is there a way you scale it, or you just stick to whatever client accounts that they provide and you just stick to it?
Yeah. So honestly, the only way we found has worked as of now, we're mainly doing it for our best clients and for myself. So we're not doing it for all of our clients. I found the AI one's it's not corny, but it's just a bit weird sometimes when you're reaching out from a fake profile, but it works. It is quite expensive as well. But the way we're doing it is we're doing a bit more of the unscalable, at least for me. We're going for tier 1 accounts only. I think that's one thing mentioning. We tier 1 accounts active on LinkedIn. So we have a much higher chance of capturing them. And the second thing from that, and including voice notes, DMs. But then the other thing, what we do is we can send 300 to 500 open profile DMs. So we use a tool like Vane, figure out who has an open profile, and then we can send around 30, 40 a day without restrictions. So we found that that's a great channel for us. Typically, we're only getting 6 to 8 calls from LinkedIn from an account, but we find that's typically enough.
Yeah, I agree. And that was news for me too. I didn't know you can send 35 to 40 DMs a day on open profiles. Do you need a premium LinkedIn account to do all these activities? Is that right?
Yes, yeah, definitely. Unless if you want to be on the safe side, but you could easily find vendors that you can just pay 10, 15 bucks a month.
Yeah, definitely. Perfect, man. Aaman, tell me, how important is a team in 2026 now when everyone is talking about they want to replace their whole team with AI? I've replaced I've seen these posts where they say, I've replaced a $500,000 team with AI. I've replaced a $500,000 finance team with AI, with Claude Code, sorry. How important is a team for you as an agency?
I think it was my advisor who told me this. He's built his company to 40 million a year, exited, and he told me that your agency is nothing unless without your team. Your team is the IP of your agency, right? The bottleneck is always going to be your team. And I think this still holds true to a certain extent. And I have mixed feelings about AI and team, actually, which I wanted to share. One thing I wanted to say, which is with AI, I think where people are coming from is replacing admin and ops level tasks where just repeatable VAs and management and things like that. That is what I'm all for with AI. But for my team, I think one thing I love about running an agency is I get to do it with my team. I think without having a team in the first, like we have a team of 11 and that consists of like your strategists, I have like senior ops manager, SDRs, and I think one thing that, and like our CSM as well, that we recently hired, if anything, like our biggest payroll at the moment is our CSM, who their whole role is just to bring a human element and connection. There's no way you can AIify that. There's no way that you can AIify human connection or experience. So for me, I think the team will be here to stay, but using AI to enable them and amplify the results is how I'm looking at it as of now. We used to have, I think, 3 strategists, each handling around 5 to 8 clients. Quite frankly, though, we have cut it down to only one strategist and myself. With I handle 1 or 2 key accounts, and my strategist handles the rest. And I think that is where AI can help cut efficiencies. But I think team is definitely still needed to, do the tasks required. You just need to be able to empower them and make sure you have the right systems to operate.
Yeah, definitely. And I look at it from this angle. When you look at the biggest AI companies in the world, OpenAI, Claude, they keep hiring new people. If the AI was so good, why are they still hiring more people? Like, why don't they just automate their whole company or like have AI do the thing? They know how important people are, how important good, smart, intelligent people, capable people who can do the things are. So 100% agree with you there. Another thing I want to add, like this is for people who are starting out, right? Or let me take you back 3 years ago or 4 years ago when you started. If you had like a younger brother who's starting his own agency right now, or if you were to go back 4 years ago, what advice would you give to yourself? I'm just trying to understand, like people are just trying to get any client that they can, charge small retainers. What advice would you give to someone who's at a position right now where they're not able to grow? They're trying everything that they can. What advice would you give them so they can get out of that situation and potentially be at a place where you are now in a couple of years?
Yeah. Well, I would definitely say, I don't think it's inspirational by any means. If anything, probably the opposite, which is like the more boring stuff. Number one is always, even if you're in a rut, always focus on your clients, right? Ensuring that your client gets the results. Even if you have one client, focus on that you're making an impact and you're solving a problem with your service. The moment you do that is the moment you get confidence. Confidence to market yourself, confidence to sell yourself, confidence to do much more. So I think always coming back to no matter like where, like even myself, I find myself in ruts. I always look at it as my clients getting the results that they're paying us for, and are they happy, and are they referring us new business? The moment you do that is the moment, I think that's like the core foundation piece in an agency. Second thing is probably a bit more newer advice or recent advice is I'm telling people the opposite, especially the new people. Stop using AI. Use less of AI. And the reason why I think it's a bit dangerous these days for at least first time founders and people, because me and you and like a lot of us come from a space before agencies. I just came in when ChatGPT just was released and I wasn't really using AI like that. So honestly, I would tell the new people to stop relying on AI because they're not learning any skills from it, at all. They're just using AI to amplify nothing, like they don't really know anything. So I really advise do a lot more things manually, learn more skills, upskill yourself, and then use AI once you have the skills. If you keep using AI to do everything for you when you don't know the foundations, not only are you going to be relying on it, but AI will eventually replace you. The reason
Yeah.
why I don't think I can replace someone like, let's just say me or you, right? Is because we came from an era where we had grit, determination, and we're using our actual brains without AI. So now that we know we're using AI, we can figure out, okay, where can we actually AI? It's because you can see there's so many, let's say, GTM engineers or strategists where literally the whole copy sounds like AI and they don't know why it was not performing. It's because you didn't have the skills to learn before AI was out. You don't know what a good email looks like because you keep depending on AI. So how about you write copy with a pen and paper first to figure out what good email is before you start using Claude and Claude maxing. So those are the 2 key pieces of advice I would say.
Perfect. Yeah. And that's really solid. And I really resonate with the pen and paper example because I've seen like whenever I write copy manually without using AISL, it always kind of tends to perform better. Even though it takes a little bit of time where you like shut everything off, you open up a Google Doc and you try 5 times, 10 times, and then you come up with something that generally kind of produces results. So And this is pretty new advice to people. So a lot of people are saying use Claude Code, learn, but you are saying do the opposite, which is crazy when you think about it because we're so dependent on AI these days.
Right. I think, yeah. And just to add on that, I think it's a bit more a caveat of the newer people that don't have too much skills and they're just trying to build themselves up. I'm really saying just, as I said, use AI to learn things, but just don't do it to do your work. You need to put in the hours yourself as opposed to just relying on AI.
Perfect. Now, let's say Scaletopia disappears tonight and you don't have any clients, you have zero referrals right now. The only things you get to keep are the skills that you've acquired over the last 3 years. How are you going to start over in 2026?
I would still do the same thing that I'm doing. I think the only thing that I would change is doing more unscalable / less AI replaceable things. For example, I would add a cold calling service to our company and have manage SDRs and them doing, emails and SMS and calling as well, because AI wouldn't really replace a human touch. So to answer that question, with the skills that I have now, as we are both in the performance marketing lead generation space, there's not going to ever be a time where a business doesn't need more leads. So I think we're in a recession-proof business, right? My advisor, the one I was talking about earlier, in COVID, he signed Slack, McDonald's, all these big guys, Zoom and Slack especially, skyrocketed in COVID, right? Because of the leads. But any recession, I think our business is quite recession proof. The only way what I would do personally is just ensure that the channels we're using is just like kind of AI or kind of AI proof really, and just kind of building from there. But I would do the same thing again. Find 1 or 2 key clients on a performance model, do results and fail as many times until I get a case study, use that case study to leverage that on outbounds or ads, sign that client and keep doing it again until I have a lot of clients. I get a team, service those while I keep on doing it and just forever keep doing it.
Yeah. Really good advice. Really good advice, man. And I agree, like cold calling is making a comeback. I've even started cold calling for some energy companies that we were trying to work with. And surprisingly, it works pretty good. Like it's hard to get through to people because people are not picking up phones, and they would even put in like phone screening where you have to say like, who are you calling and why are you calling? So they were disconnected.
Right.
And it would not let you pass through. So the AI kind of talks to you and screens you. But once you get past to a prospect, like I don't think there's a faster and better way to directly get in touch with a prospect. Like you can immediately get feedback from them and have your pitch. So I completely agree. Like adding cold calling for lead generation agencies is becoming important in 2026. Perfect. Now, I want to talk a little bit, like we've discussed business. You can still talk about business, right? But we can do a little bit of like a rapid fire quickly. I know we're maybe a little short on time now, but I have a couple of rapid fire questions. They are business personal. So you can just answer them based on like whatever comes first to your mind. What's the best money you've spent this year?
I spent 30 grand on an advisor up since January. Best investment I've made. Helped me become a better CEO, help me be more predictable in my business, and help me scale.
So next question, if every piece of software that you're using right now, like ClickUp or Sequences, anything, like everything kind of gets deleted and there's only one software that you could use, what's going to be that software that you're going to come back to?
Probably Claude. Just giving my simple answer.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Previously, you were saying that don't use AI in our store, but yeah, it completely makes sense.
I'm a hypocrite.
Yeah. Third one, who is the person in the go-to-market, outbound, lead gen, whatever you want to call it, in this space that everyone should be following?
You probably know quite a lot. One person I really like is this guy called Jed Marley. I think he's practical prospecting. I really like his content. I think people should give him more of a follow. He does the fundamentals exceptionally well, and he uses less of these signals and stuff, but going back to human principles, which kind of resonates with my own principles.
Perfect. And the next question is, what's the one mistake that every outbound agency should be avoiding, especially in 2026?
Not getting caught up in AI tools with all the fancy tools and things coming out. Just focus on the results, and things will follow.
Perfect. Awesome. Last question. What's next for Scaletopia and for you and your team?
Yeah, great question. I think we are at a stage where we're full on ready to scale. We have the right systems for it. So they're going to be potentially running ads. That's why I'm a bit more heavy focused on content and looking to expand even outside of agencies as well. So really looking forward to kind of going to exploring different verticals. Like we have a MarTech company similar to an agency doing 30, 40 million. Like we're getting like 20, 30 demos a month for them. So spanning verticals. And then one big thing that I am looking forward to is I've been back and forth between London and Dubai. I think I'm going to be a bit more focused between London, and I'm probably going to be going to the States fairly soon. Probably putting Scaletopia out there since most of our clients are in the States. I do want to focus a bit more on going, seeing clients, conferences, trade shows, things like that. So I think that'll be pretty exciting.
Really cool, man. Really cool. And where can people find you, especially like if agencies want to work with you or like people who are learning, they want to kind of follow you and they want to see what you're doing? Where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm pretty much fairly active on LinkedIn. So you just type my name in and I'll be there on LinkedIn. And I have a YouTube channel as well. I'm on just with an X instead of replacing the A's, but fairly active on LinkedIn. If you want to, feel free to reach out.
Perfect. Awesome. Aaman, thank you so much for joining me. It was really a pleasure having you. And I'm pretty sure the viewers, the audience learned a lot from you. You've scaled an agency from 0 to 70K in almost like 3 years. So like kudos for that. And yeah, I really appreciate you joining, man.
Thanks, Amir. Really appreciate the thoughtful questions.
Perfect.